Hi everyone, welcome back. Kathy here from Santa Marta Designs. We are just making a little bit of extra room here for this ginormous wreath that we're going to do tonight. So we were working on something else. I just want to make sure we get some of our wire out before I forget for our sign later. And so if you haven't watched our live from last Thursday, which was the 13th, we did this wreath base here that we have in front of us, which is the poof method. And what we had thought about doing, which I said we were going to put up a poll, and then I decided not to because I just figured, you know what, it's been kind of quiet like crickets out there. I think everybody has been on vacation and trying to get their kids back to school and very busy. So I said, you know what, why don't we just save ourselves some time? And what we're going to do is we're going to see if anyone on tonight has a preference instead of which method we do. So what we were going to ask everyone to see is whether they liked better. And I got to move this bow to get us some room. So we did that bow last week and we did the base last week. Okay. So what we wanted to see was, do people want to see this ruffle or would they rather see this woodland ruffle? And the difference between the two is the woodland ruffle has what looks like curls on the ends. Okay. And then the ruffle is almost just, you know, by itself, nothing on the ends as far as what you prefer. So what does anyone have a preference tonight on what you want to see? And if not, then we might just go for it on our own and see what we want to do. So I'll give it a minute, and what we're going to do is get out our ribbon tails, and I'll go over those with you guys again. So this whole package was actually a kit that I purchased from Lori Jacobs over at Hardworking Mom. So you can check out her wreath kits. I think she actually has a couple of new ones out right now. So go to hardworkingmomstore.com and get her wreath kits. They sell out super, super fast. So if you guys are thinking about getting kits from her, you would want to order quickly because they sell out like hotcakes. So this is the fall one that I had gotten, and this is definitely already sold out, but she has some new ones coming out, which I believe the next one was a Christmas one that she has coming out. So alright, so I see a bunch of shy people, so they don't want to talk. So what we're going to do is we're thinking about doing every other. We're going to do a ruffle or woodland ruffle. And then the ones that don't have anything, we're just going to do ribbon tails. Now, we could do is actually do curls in the ones that don't have a actual ruffle or woodland ruffle. So that way we use up our mesh, because I had already cut 18 pieces thinking we were going to go in one direction, and then I changed my mind. So we could do that, and we have some extra ribbon from our ribbon tails. We'll use that for something else. We can just use that for some of our little mini gnomes that we're going to use. But so to show you a curl, so all you do is you can actually just start at the bottom and do a tight little curl there. And this is probably longer than I would want for a curl, but since we already had cut our pieces, then that's okay. Okay, and when you get to the end, what you want to do is just try and make sure, see how very thick it is. This isn't what I would usually use for a cut size on a curl. Probably like 12 inches is what I use, and this is much larger. So what we could do is we'll take this out and show you what it would look like, okay? So if we take this out and put this underneath and put this on top, and it's just going to add an extra element here. Lost my tie. Here it is. Alright, so it's just going to add an extra element here. So don't be afraid to come in and say hello when you're on. They don't bite. I ate dinner, I promise. Okay. And a lot of times I like to spread across my tails in opposite directions, and sometimes I'll put them down in a V. So it just all depends what we've got going on. All right. So we could just add this curl, and all this curl does is just add some extra filler space, so that way we can make sure that we're not going to really, you know, be seeing a lot of negative space. If you get any strays, you can always cut that on your mesh. Don't be afraid. So I think we might do that. Now on this one, I know we already have a ruffle here. So what I'm going to tell you is I'm not even going to take this out because we can hide a lot of things in our wreaths. So I'm just letting you know, if you make a boo-boo, it's okay. Because what we can even do is we can put our bow on top of this side, and you wouldn't even be able to tell that we had one ruffle in out of this whole thing that was woodland ruffles, okay? So let's go ahead and fill in as we go every other. So over here, this side right here, we had a woodland ruffle. So here is just going to be oh, but we need some tails here. We can't do that. We need some tails there. So let's put in some ribbon tails here. And actually, you know what I wanted to do? This is going to be a little opposite. So just because I don't want it to be super matchy-matchy, I'm going to take this teal with pink and green, and I'm going to put it here in our curls. And I'll tell you why. Because if I don't do that, then against this purple, the other ribbon tail was going to be another purple. So I wanted to have a little bit of a contrast. And I think we were pretty much just kind of showing off on our last Thursday Live of what we could do as possible options and just grab the tail. So why don't we put in the right ones that we want to go in certain places, okay? So let's put this one in where there is a piece of mesh, and I'm not even going to untie my little ties here. So these are not pipe cleaners. So what Lori does is, so it's kind of always a treat when I order her kit. So on this bottom one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like a little V with my ribbon tails, and I'm just holding it up so you can see. So instead of putting them across like this, okay, then I'm really just going to create a V where they're going to come down. Okay, just because I've got this one that's kind of like spread open over here, this one can kind of come lay down. All right, so now that we've got that one in, that one looks fine. This is an empty one, so remember, we're going to do on the empty ones, we're going to do these ribbon tails. Okay, but instead of doing this right away and pinching and doing our little arch, we got to remember we're going to do a curl here. Okay, so we're going to have to find a little spot for our ribbon tails, because the mesh, anytime you work with mesh, it is really it just picks on everything. Okay, so be careful with the clothes you wear. Don't wear your greatest shirts just because you don't want that to all get picked at. So one end you can put something heavy, and if you have a hard time rolling, Dawn from Dawn's Wreath Decor by Dawn uses a dowel. I've mentioned on her lives that we can also do, because she asked what else do other people use. I don't use this, but I think, was it Linda as well that also said she uses this? And people were just asking for recommendations. You could totally use this, which is the inside of a mesh roll that we would do to do our curl. Okay, so you could totally do that. So in our tie, And what I was going to say was these are not Dollar Tree frames. Okay, so these are pencil work forms, okay? They're pencil frames. And the reason why they call them the pencil is because the ties, the metal ties, are actually a longer, skinnier tie, like a metal tie, than what you would normally see, which is just a shorter and thicker tie. So it's a real treat to get these, because I usually, for myself on all my projects, I typically use is the work forms, which are plain, not work forms as far as already done, but they're just basically empty bases that I get from the Dollar Tree, okay? And sometimes these ribbons need a little talking to, okay? So again, we're not even going to take this one out. We're just going to work with it, okay? We're going to work with it exactly as it is. And you'll see that we won't even be able to tell that we have one ruffle in here that is just a regular ruffle versus a woodland ruffle. Okay? And you can decide what you want to do with the rest of the ties. You can leave them up, or you can cut them and tuck them in. I'm going to leave them up for now because we have some bonus items that we're going to add to our wreath. Alright? And I'm super excited about our bonus items that we're going to add. So if you didn't see from Thursday, we're going to add some gray pumpkin, either one or two, just depending on how much we end up having. Now on the bottom we're going to have a woodland ruffle, but on the top we're going to have a curl. So if you don't want to hold this, or you don't have enough room in your tie, you can just put a little clip around this. So this is just a clothespin, all right? And this is the one we're going to go back to when we don't have a ruffle underneath. All right. So we're going to put this all into our tie here. All right. There we go. And we're just going to spread that out. And so this little curl will just come out and add a little bit of an accent. All right, and now we're going to do the bottom one, which is going to be a woodland ruffle. And the 21-inch mesh that came with this was a full entire roll. You get 3 5-yard cuts of ribbon. And then I believe you get 1 full roll. I'm doing the woodland ruffle now. You get 1 full roll of ribbon, which I'll show you in a minute after we're done. And then you got a whole 10-yard roll of this 10-inch mesh, which is a beautiful border mesh. Okay. So this time I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ruffle, you know what, I'm going to put the ruffle going this way, yeah. No, I'm going to put the ruffle going that way, sideways. I was just trying to see what would look best. Yeah, I like that. What would look best with our other curl there, okay? So I like that better. And there's no right or wrong. You can always do one or the other. And so I just like to make a little arch in there, put this in, okay, and then these bottom ones, I'm going to go ahead and kind of put them in a V downwards. All right, and then we're just going to keep going around. So super super, super easy when you buy the whole entire kit, because you don't have to go to the stores and try and find different things to match. So I've been loving to do her kits. So we have another kit of hers to do, which is a Halloween one. And the bonus item we're going to add, we have some of our own ribbon we're going to add. And then we have a mummy we're going to add, one of our own mummies that we're going to add. And I'm super excited to add one of those as well. So we're going to go in the bottom here. Grab our tie. And you can get these work forms, either the pencil kind or even the regular normal work forms that have the shorter, thicker ties. You can get them at a lot of online stores. So Craft Outlet has them. Pretty sure Deco Exchange has them. So you just have to Google it and I'm sure it will come up. So for this woodland ruffle, you're going to curl one side, okay, a couple of times. Clip it however you want. You can use a chip clip, clothespin. As you see, I'm using a clothespin. Alright. And that's where you get, so this, I usually cut the woodland ruffle around 34 inches, if not anywhere around there somewhere. But I wanted to use just one whole roll up, so I just had to divide it out. And these are cut much shorter, I believe at 20 inches. So not a ton of ruffle, but that's okay. We can live with it. We can live with the difference. Now sometimes, I'm just trying to pay attention, sometimes I accidentally skip a tie. So we don't want to skip any ties. You want to put something in every single one of them, because that just helps cover up any holes in your wreath base. Okay. And sometimes you just need to continue to fix your ribbons. Just making sure what we ended off with over there. I'm going to do another curl on the bottom this time. And I like to start off super tight, because by the time you're done curling, it will be thicker. Alright, so we're over here on this side now, and I try to put the cut end towards the bottom, okay, so that your frays have less of a chance of showing. And my ribbon tails are all cut at 12 inches. We went over a lot of this on part 1 of the video from last week. And when I get a chance, I'll put an end screen to that video in the description. Or actually, it will just be at the end of the video if I put it in as an end screen. Okay. That's that one. And so here, we have one at the top here. We're going to need a curl here. Okay. So let's get a curl. So we may even add flowers tonight. We've got a sign to put on that came with the kit, but we may even add some matching flowers. Do any of you use florals for your wreaths? You can drop me a comment on the replay if you want. If you use any florals. Okay, so, oh, I just screwed up. We just had a curl over there. Let's move that over. See, no harm, no foul. We'll just move it over. And these will fray, okay? So sometimes I get a lot of questions, what can you do to cut back on fray? I have friends that have tried the whole wood burning tool. I don't recommend those kind of things because there is like a release of gases from the materials and things like that. So unless you're doing it safely, I don't really recommend it. But you know, there's just basically trying the least amount of times to handle your mesh is the better off you are. Because the more you handle it, the more it's going to fray. Okay, so let's get our woodland ruffle piece. And again, so heavy something on one side, curl in a couple of times. I'm going to pin it. Hey Angie, how are you? Thanks for stopping by, my friend. I know this is part 2 of Miss Hardworking Mom's kit that we did last week. Started at least. We started last week the kit. And we said we were going to finish it tonight. I've been changing my mind too many times with what we're going to work on each live. So I said, nope, nope, nope. We need to finish it because what I was actually going to do was show you guys how to make some turkey feet for attachments. How many of you ever wondered how to make turkey feet? Because the fall season is coming. No matter how many of us want to avoid it, it is coming. So if you get some extra poking out here, just cut that off. Okay? Don't be afraid to cut mesh when it's not behaving. Alright, so we've got that one in, we've got this one in. I want to make sure I didn't miss any ties. And we've got a curl there, so we're going to do another woodland ruffle and another woodland ruffle. They're kind of falling around into the same pattern here. And that's alright. Honestly, by the time we get everything on here, it's going to be so hard to tell whether you've got one, you know, something on top matching the same exact one on the bottom. So I wouldn't even bother. Won't even worry about it. Okay. So this is the woodland ruffle one. We're going to put one on the top. Okay. And we're going to put one on the bottom apparently. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I count wrong? 5? May have lost a roll somewhere along the line. That's alright. We'll be fine. You'll see that you can actually hide a lot of mistakes in your wreaths and it won't even make a difference. So I'm choosing to put my ruffles up and down okay, instead of side to side for this one. And we're going to do purple and teal for these. And remember, our curls are going to be the ones that get the teal and the pink. So I love this one because it was more of an unusual fall color combination, right? Because not too many times do you see like the teals and purples and things like that used for fall. You typically see is the browns, the oranges, you know, tans and things like that. But you don't typically see a lot of these colors together. Oh, we almost lost all our ribbon tails over the back of the table. Almost. Okay. So, just trying to make sure you guys were still in camera here. Okay. And like I said, these work forms are really great because ties are super long. It's a raised wreath form. So sometimes I feel like the ribbons fall a little bit better on a raised wreath form than on the Dollar Tree ones, but they still look just as great on the Dollar Tree ones. So if that's what you can do, then use the Dollar Tree ones because there's nothing wrong with them. And we're going to do some curls here. And so see how this one just decided to go a little wonky? I'm just going to cut that little tip that's sticking out. Alright, the rest of it is fine. I'm going to leave the rest of it just as is, but I'm going to put that side towards the inside. So the less you handle it, the better. So once it's in, leave it alone. Alright, leave it alone. And these are the combos for the curls. And since, again, these pencil forms have such long ties, we can just come in here and add them on top. All right, do another curl. I think I did drop one. 1, 2, oh no, I've got 3 left. Oh no, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 left. All right, well, we'll have to see how, if we counted wrong or if we cut wrong. Maybe we lost one in translation. Sometimes when I don't finish a piece and things get shuffled around in our room, something falls into an abyss. So that's all right. We'll make it work. We can literally just put the bow on top of the side that is missing a ruffle. No big deal. And so for these bottom ones, I'm going to do a V shape, remember? And I'm choosing to put the 2.5 inch on top and the 1.5 inch on the bottom. Okay? And you can just tug at them wherever you want them to go. Okay, so we're going to make sure we get through the bottom ones first. Alright. Just to make sure that the outer edge is covered. More likely we can hide an inner one than an outer one. Oh, this mesh cat pitches on everything. Okay. And then we just ruffle this middle in. take that out. I'm choosing to put the ruffle towards the sky. Okay. Okay, and in that one we're going to do purple and teal. Whoops, that wasn't a very good half fold. Okay, pinch. We've got a little form to our ribbons. I'm going to sneak this in here just by adding it right on top. I'm not even undoing as far as opening up my tie. Just leaving it the way it was, adding this on top. Sorry, this one wasn't behaving. Okay. There we go. And we're just going to cut some strays we see. And then this one is going to get a regular woodland ruffle. Yeah, so we have only one more after this one of mesh cut. Be interesting to see if I find one in a couple of days from now rolled under my desk somewhere. I didn't see anything readily available. Doesn't mean I've looked good enough for it. Because when these things are rolled, they get pretty curly and can roll anywhere once they're cut. Okay, so now if you wanted to add your ribbon tail on top of this, because say you're working with a Dollar Tree frame. So if I'm working with a Dollar Tree frame, I for sure do this. So I put my bundle together. Let me move over here. I put my bundle together just like this. And so whatever color I'm going to work with, it being, oh, were we supposed to do curl here? We were supposed to do a curl here. So let's do that instead, sorry. I got off track. Let's do a curl. So we're going to do a curl instead. So say you needed a curl instead, okay? We're going to put a little clip around it. And so we know for the curls, I want this teal, pink, and green. So I'm going to do this as I normally would. Make my little bend in my ribbons. And then I'm going to attach this to my bundled mesh, okay? And then I'm just going to add everything in at the same time. Okay, so if I'm working with a Dollar Tree frame, I definitely do this more because the pipe cleaners you're working with are usually shorter than these pencil ties. So it just helps to be able to get everything on. Okay, so we can do the same thing again here. So now look, we are actually, did I count wrong before? Oh, so we only do have one. I thought for some reason I counted something else, but alright, so we have a woodland ruffle bundle. We have one more tie to fill with a tail. This is purple and teal. So same thing here. You can do it with any kind of bundle. We're going to pinch and make our little bend. Okay, and then all I have to do is grab my bundle, put my ribbon tails on top, okay, and I've been putting my ruffles from top to bottom, meaning this is going to point towards the sky. And so then I'm just going to put this right into my tie. And squeeze and twist. Okay. And then I just come in here and fix my ribbons whatever way I want them to go. Okay. And sometimes they're a little stubborn. Perfect. So that's our base. So our base is absolutely done. And so can you even see where we put our one ruffle only? It's super hard to point out. Like I know exactly where it is because I did the wreath. But if you're not really looking for it and you didn't know it was there, you could never really tell 100%, you know? Thank you, Angie. I appreciate it. So let's start by adding our bow, okay? Because we have our bow to add. We have our sign, which has some extra mesh on it. We have our sign to add. So let me turn this towards you without dropping everything on our table. We have the sign, the bow, and here's our bonus items. So let me just cut the tags off this because I know we're going to use one for sure. And of course it's being sneaky to cut the tag off. Okay, let's put that there so I know. And so if we can fit, I think we can fit definitely one, but I don't know if we can fit 2 pumpkins and if it would even look good because they're not different sized pumpkins and they're pretty large. So if they were smaller or I had like a medium, like this medium size and a smaller one, then I would say yes. But I really don't like the 2 huge pumpkins on there. So I think what we're going to do is add just the one. We're going to add it to like a little space that we think looks okay. What I'm thinking I like is the sign on top. Unless you guys want sign on the bottom, towards the bottom with the pumpkin on top. But I really like is the sign on the top, pumpkin on the bottom. Or sign towards the top, I should say. And here's the thing. If you get one of these kits, you're going to have extra ribbon. So, like I have this whole extra roll of the 10-yard roll of ribbon that came in. So if I wanted to add anything extra, maybe faux, if I wanted to add any faux bows, I could add it with this. So maybe we'll see what we have in the end. But you could always take this and add in extra tails or add this in underneath the bow for extra tails. So if we do this here, I'll show you. We might want to get our bow attached first to show you, but just so you get a sense of what I'm saying. If we fold this in half, like we find our little point, just as if we were doing a tail, we can add this into or underneath here, and this will just add some extra tail length to our entire bow. I can do it right now actually. Okay, it's just so that you don't have, if you think you're going to use it for another project, then fine, but if you're not going to use it and it's just going to be sitting around or you're going to think about throwing it out, then just add it to your wreath and you can't even tell that that was just an extra tail we added in. So I also have some extra of the teal. So this extra of the teal I have a good amount of, so I'm gonna save that for another little rainy day project. Okay, along with the extra from the ribbon roll. So the signs don't come punched with any holes, but if you use a little jewelry punch, then you can certainly get that in there. So I usually just punch a hole in either corner. Some people like to do all 4 corners. I usually only do 2 corners based on wherever I'm going to put my wreath at, my sign at on my wreath, I mean, excuse me. So this is 26 gauge floral wire. Comes on a really nice big paddle of wire. So about 2 feet or so that I cut for each hole, because you'll see that once you bend it in half, you're going to end up having a lot shorter of a piece of wire. Okay. Whoops. Goodness. My eyes obviously are not doing well. I thought I cut that wire twice. I missed. So when you fold your wire, you're going to have, see, you're going to have a much smaller piece. You're going to have about 1 foot. And so when you just wire this through the hole, you're going to push this right through the hole. My eyes must be tired because I'm having trouble seeing these little holes. And this is on the back of the sign, but this is really nothing. I'll tell you what this is. This is just heat resistant tape, which is used to sublimate the signs. So that's nothing. Don't worry if you get that ever on a sign. You can just take that off. It's not meant to stay. So see how I got half that wire in there, or at least it's folded in half, sort of equally. Alright, so I'm just going to take my wire and I'm going to twist my sign so that I know I've got my wire really snug in there. Okay, and make sure that your wire doesn't get all twisted. Now we're going to do the other side and put our wire in, and we're going to find our halfway mark to essentially make our twist. Okay, so we're going to do our twist, and we're going to twist our sign. Okay, now we are going to attach this. So right now I'm going to switch this, I'm going to turn this back over towards me for a minute, just so I can figure out placement. I kind of like to make the signs go a little bit sideways. I don't like straight up and down. So and what I do like to do though is I like to have a even cut on the wire ends, and that's just me being a little bit picky because I find it easier to get this through the mesh to the other side, so that way I find both ends quickly at the same time. Versus I feel like if I usually leave them uneven, I'll grab one end but not both. Oh, this one's really not too bad, far off. So I'm going to move aside my ribbons to be able to find this poking through to the back of the frame. There we go. Okay. And let's hope we didn't lose. Yep, we lost our other one back here. Hold on. No, don't go away. Okay, here we go. So we're going to get this stuff off for a minute because we're just going to try and stand this up to be able to secure to the back, and I'll show you in just a second where in the back we are securing this to. But if I let go right now, we're going to lose our wire again. Okay. Oh good, Angie likes the sign on top and the pumpkin on the bottom. Awesome choice, Ange, awesome. Okay, so for this top one, I'm going to show you where on the back we are doing this. So this wire poked through right here. I know it's kind of hard to see on the video. And then this wire on the top poked through right here. Okay, so I'm just checking placement still because once you start moving it around, you can get a little bouncy. So all I'm going to do is move one of these wires. See, there's a crossbar here, and so I'm going to get one of them on the other side of the crossbar. And so you get crossbars on the Dollar Tree frames as well. And actually this isn't really a crossbar, but what it is not technically a crossbar, but it's almost like a crossbar because it's the tinsel ties wire. and it's going from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom, whatever it be. So either way, when I'm done with this, what I like to do is I'll cut this down shorter, the excess wire. And so I've got it wrapped around the base here securely. So I'll either wrap it around is the rest of the crossbar, or whatever section of your wreath isn't going to touch the bottom of whatever surface you're actually working on, where it's going to hang. So usually that's going to be the outer rung, and typically on a raised base like this, it's going to be your inner rung that is not going to touch anything because it's going to be elevated. So I will wrap the rest of this around, but typically I'm going to cut more than half of this off to go ahead and finish wrapping that, okay? Now the sign on this side is a little bit loose, so I'm just going to go ahead and re-secure that a little bit better. Okay, and it's always good to check before you 100% wrap your signs and everything. Okay, and so just position that where you want it. And you can move your mesh, you can move your ribbons. Okay, you can reposition whatever you want. You don't need to keep it in the same exact spot. Alright, and then sometimes just might need a little refluff. Alright, so this guy is going to come sit right down here in some way or fashion. And this one, I think I'm going to have to re-glue this one. I'm going to use this one. This one looks better. Why do something half wrong, right? So we'll fix that one. It looks like the manufacturer didn't put enough glue. So we will add some more off camera, but basically I'm going to add in this pumpkin here. Okay, I think we're going to do the pumpkin last because I want to see where all the tails fall out. So whether I need to put the pumpkin maybe here, you know, here, or whether it moves over more. So let's put the bow on next. I think is best. And we didn't cut any of our tails on our bow yet because we never know when I make a bow first before the wreath is done how long I want the tails to be. All right, so all our lovely tails, I'm going to make sure the ribbon's going the right way on everything and hanging down. All right, so I think what we're going to do is put our bow up here, and so see, like, there's really going to be, all your imperfections are going to get covered, and a lot of times people will do is not even put a lot of the ribbon tails in, because if you have a big bow like this or you put several, they're going to cover a lot of these ribbon tails as it is. So sometimes to save material, okay? But again, this all came basically in a wreath kit, so it's not like we were actually purchasing extra materials and didn't, you know, and had to waste them or anything like that. So that's the good thing about it, because you never know how much you're going to use, right? So I think our bow is going to hang pretty high up there. And so we're going to find a spot in here that we can maybe move something over to get underneath. Perfect. Now, when you attach your bow, let's move some of these things over to the other side. When you attach your bow, if you grab your wire from the back when it's pulled through, you want to set it firmly so that it's like sitting on top of your mesh, really standing out high and proud. If you pull too hard, you're going to get this selfie fish lipped puckered look, okay, like everything's squeezed in. If I let go, it's nice and bouncy, stands high and proud, and not like really squishy, okay? You don't want the selfie puckered fish lips look. This is the puckered look, and this is the, you know, non-puckered look. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hang this up for a minute with our hand, and I'm going to come to the back of this base here and make sure that one of our wire sides is wrapped around our base. Sorry, I'm tugging a little extra for a second. Okay, and now what we're going to do is see how tight we can pull it without making it pucker. Okay, and I think that's good. And then again, I will come back in here after and cut the excess and wrap that really good around the base. But so now our ribbon tails, we can cut these ends to however we want, and I don't really think I'm going to cut any length off. I'm just going to really do is dovetail these, because I really love the longer tails on a bow. Okay, because you can curl these every which way, and I'm just trying to get our extra tail clippings here off our wreath instead of having to find them buried in our wreath later. So I'm just folding in half and cutting at an angle. And you don't have to do that. You can actually just cut at a straight angle without folding. I've done that before as well. I tend to like this look more, and just trying to make sure our colors are separated a little bit. Okay, got a couple more to go, and then we're just going to add in our pumpkin. It's always super fun to try and figure out ways to add in extra items, bonus items I call them, into our wreaths, right? Because we're using them for an typically unintended use. You know, I don't think, at least I don't know for sure, but I don't think they were manufactured with the intent of them being added to a wreath, but that's okay. That doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means, you know, there's no actual ties on here or anything like that for us to secure this in place, because this is really just meant to be a sitting pumpkin, sitting on a flat surface somewhere. So, all right, let's curl our ribbon a little bit. Okay. And if anything looks unfluffed, then you can just run your fingers technically, through them to kind of give them a fresh look on life. So this one we're going to curl the same way because it's super long. Okay. Super long tail. And then here, I'm just going to do a little bit of a bend. This one we're going to leave long and fluffed. This one we're going to leave long and fluffed because I really like that gray accent next to the pumpkin. So this was a bonus ribbon that we added as well, this gray. This was not part of the kit, but I felt like with all the color combinations that the kit came with, that this gray was a really great tone to add in here. Okay. Thank you, Geraldine. How long did we cut our tails? Our tails were cut at 12 inches, Angie. Typically, I don't usually cut tails any shorter or longer than 12 inches. I typically go with 12 inches, but that's always a good question to ask. because you can cut your tails at whatever length you want. Some people use 13 inches, some people use 14. I used to use 14, to be honest with you, when I first started out on this journey. And then I just felt like the tails were flopping around a lot everywhere. It felt like there was a lot of excess ribbon versus seeing everything else in the actual wreath. So I stopped doing that. And then I went with 12, and I just felt more comfortable with 12. So we've been using 12 for a while. And we haven't strayed too far. Okay, so that's a really nice full bow. Okay, and this will fall better once it's actually standing straight versus laying down and spreading out. But so I want to bring a little bit of this gray to the front here, because now it's time to attach this. So the fun job, right? So let's see if this is where we're going to want to put it. Okay, and our ribbon tail here got flipped upside down, and so I think we're going to add it somewhere right in here. And trying to position it in the right spot so that way, I see a stray piece of mesh here. Okay, so I think I'm going to add it here. Okay, and then another bonus that we possibly might add tonight is some flowers. Okay, because we have lots of flowers in our sign. And so I thought a couple of little flower accents might work well, all right? But we'll see. So first things first, how on earth are we going to attach this, right? So I like to get out is my awl. And where are you, Mr. Awl? Here are you. Here you are. Okay. So we're going to need to put some wire through this, either wire or pipe cleaner, okay? So I'm going to find a spot just by kind of feeling around where he should be added. And I'm going to pick right where, let's use my pointer fingers, right where my pointer fingers are, okay? So right where my pointer fingers are, and I'll turn this wreath over more towards you guys, I'm going to put this here, okay? So right here and right here. Now if I wanted to, I could do this. I could take a marker. Goodness, I'm trying to open a Sharpie with one hand. I could take a marker and just kind of put a little couple of dots on there so that I didn't have to hold my spot forever. Okay. So now I'm going to take this awl, which is basically something, almost looks like a very pointy piece of metal with a rubber handle, and they come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, but this is very pointy, and the thickness of this thickens as the whole metal piece meets the base. So it goes very small point to a very large point, okay? So I use this a lot of times to poke holes in everything. So see how quick I just poked a hole through there? Very, very, very easy. Okay, now what I may also do, because this is already stuffed, we'll have to see how well this works. So I just poked a hole through the material on both sides. All right. I'm just trying to see if I'll be able to meet both sides. All right, so we're going to see if the silver wire will make it, but my concern when you use the lightweight wire, which is the higher the gauge, the thinner the wire, excuse me, the lower the gauge, the thicker. So if this is too thin, it's going to just bend inside this stuffing and get caught, but we're going to give it a shot. And so if that's the case, then we just step up our game and go down the level of wire gauge that we've got in stock here. and then see what happens. So I'm going to actually bend the tip of this so that it's not sharp, and maybe that will help us get away with not getting stuck inside the stuffing there if it's got a little loop to it instead of being a little jagged edge. Alright, so let's see what happens. You can feel it coming across. Perfect! Look at that. And so what I'm also going to do is, because I'm a little OCD about making sure that my pieces aren't going to start falling off, I'm just going to add some additional glue. And that's not to secure the wire. That's to basically hold the fabric, I'm hoping, from ripping or getting a little bit torn. Okay? So that's what that glue is for. It's not to hold the wire in place, but it's more so for trying to see that the fabric doesn't start ripping and tearing. And so I'm going to go ahead and twist this wire before I put it on the base, because then it's again another instance of making sure that that fabric's not going to keep ripping. Alright, so like I always do is I always try to cut a fresh clean cut so that I have two even ends. And then we're going to just try and reposition this wherever we want it. Wherever I last felt like it was the most comfortable. Okay, somewhere around here. And we're going to move out so our glue is still wet. We're just going to take that glue off. Alright, let's do that again. We're going to squeeze our wire through this mesh. Alright, and right to the back of the base. And this is one that I can tug really tight, and it's not going to look like it's puckered, or it's not going to look like it's squishing anything, because it's sitting nicely right on top of the center of a curl here. So I'm good with kind of getting it a little bit firmly tight in there. And so all I'm doing now is just trying to separate out my wire that got a little tangled on its journey beyond. Here we go. And I'm going to find a crossbar that is pretty close by and go ahead and tie that down. Okay, perfect. I've had these gray pumpkins since last year, and I just thought they were so cute when I got them, and I just haven't found the right project to put them on, because I'm like, oh, but they're so cute. I love the gray. And they were nice plush pumpkins. So we're going to cut some mesh strays that I can see, since they're adamantly right against our pumpkin. And so what do we do with these, the rest of these ties? You can actually leave them up if you want. They're not going to bother anybody as far as hurt anybody or anything like that. Or you can cut them and hide them. So I might just take a look after we're done with everything to see what we want to do. But we might just leave them. Okay. Alright, so we're not going to put in our double pumpkin. We're going to only put one. And then we've got some flowers to consider. So I like these really light lavender flowers. I feel like these are a little too dark. Okay. I do have some on the grayish side. Not many, but these are a little bit on the gray side. And then I have these tiny little guys here that we could add in somewhere. All right. So let's add in some of these first. And I'm going to basically cut, where's my wire cutters? I'm going to basically cut from the last piece of each flower about 2 inches down. All right. So I'm going to cut about 2 inches down. Now, I don't think I've used any part of this for another project. So sometimes you can have leftovers from another project. I don't think this one is the same case. I think this one I have not used. And so here I used part for the top, and I just came to the very base of it to cut that extra stick off. Okay. And so this one might have just a little extra flower that we don't use. And that's okay. We're going to probably keep that green. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna have a little, we might put this in our bow, that little piece. Actually, we've got 2 little pieces. That's perfect. So we've got this one little piece that we're just gonna take off, and we've got this one little piece. And so this extra stem, I don't actually throw these out. I have a huge bag, not huge, but a shopping bag that I save these in. Now, because you can always reuse these for something else, maybe like a centerpiece or anything like that. So let's go ahead and add in our flower. And actually, I'm going to take the green stem off because that's going to come off right away. So have your glue ready. And I'm just going to use my little baby glue gun because that's what's warm. And we were using for other projects tonight already before we came live. And so I'm just going to add in some little flowers here. Okay. Oh gosh, how did that extra glue web happen? Okay. And where did our other little one go? I'm going to take that little green stem off. Okay. Ooh, just stuck my finger in the glue by accident. Those are no fun. Okay. Take any glue webs off. I'm going to push over that in a second. I haven't fixed, we just actually got our camera fixing tonight. One of our friends, Mel from Mel's Corner Creations, was on with me, helped me fix our camera tonight because we weren't showing any video the right way on Monday Nights Live on Facebook. So if you can see here, we just added in some quick little flowers to our bow. And we're going to add in some of these. And the way I think we're going to hold them in is twofold. So I think we're going to add in some glue over here to the base, the stem here. Now, without burning yourself, I'm going to sneak this into a tie and then twist tie this into a wreath here. Okay, and then I can just go ahead and hide our twist ties. Okay. So that's one of them. Okay, we're going to add in probably another one here. And we always want to try and find the right one. So some have leaves, some don't. Perfect, that one's perfect. So let's add in some glue. The glue is just to help attach to the tie a little bit better so that you don't have to worry about it kind of sneaking or sliding out of the tie as it gets used over time. Okay. So I do think I'm going to hide the ties. As much as we can. It's okay if they show a little bit. Okay. Here's a bigger one. I think maybe we put this closer to the pumpkin down here. Okay. Let's put that one in there. The only thing about these little baby, they work good, really good, these baby glue guns, but the glue stick sizes that you can find a lot of times is just the mini minis. So it's like you refill your glue gun after a couple of uses. Okay. So that looks really great next to the pumpkin, and then we're going to do another side on this pumpkin side. I don't know if I like the leaf sticking up. I like that better with the green and the flowers sticking up instead. That looks better. Glue stick required. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Thank you for hanging in there. And again, just be careful with your fingers when you're working with hot glue. You can get some pretty severe burns if you're working with like a high temp glue gun, like we are. Working with a high temp glue gun. Okay. And I still don't like how this one is bent, so we're just gonna bend it a little bit better. Perfect. All right, remember your flowers are typically on wire, okay? Now, these I don't know if I'm liking wholeheartedly this rogue leaf set. Why don't we put some up top here so that this, I want to put some up top here so this doesn't look all by itself. Okay. Okay. And just, sorry, I'm trying to make sure my head's not in your way. I know my arm is, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't burn myself. At the same time, making sure that we've got our thing tied in here. And of course, we just pulled our flower out. So if you do that, just pop a little bit of glue there and stick it right back on. It's actually going to stay a lot better now than it would have before. Okay. And that's good, and we can always fluff up our ribbons around that. Okay. Perfect. Cut a stray. And that looks perfect. Okay, I've got a few more. I think I'm definitely not going to use this whole rogue leaf look. I'm going to cut that off. Okay, we're going to step that aside. Okay, we're going to add in something over here on the side of the sign. Tuck in those edges. And then make sure our ribbons look nice. Okay. And then these last few, we're going to actually turn this. And we're going to add some over here. Okay, either over here or actually on this side, just so that it evens it out. All right. What I might do is break this down into two. I'm going to break this down into two pieces. And we're going to stick this in probably one over here. I know it's going to be hard to see because the bow is hiding everything at this point. Okay. Hang on, I'm going to show you where we added it. Just trying not to burn my fingers right now with the glue. Okay. So we added that right there. Okay. And we'll squashed our bow a little bit. And then this one, we're probably just going to take right off that stem. And glue in here. Perfect. Okay. So now I'm okay with the fact that there's no flowers underneath the bow tails. I'm okay with that. Now we can see if we wanted to add in a couple of these sprays, which are basically going to be 3 of them. So let's see, we're cut down here, here. That's too big. Maybe here. Here. And here. Okay. So we cut these 3 pieces. That, and that. This is all extra. I guess if you needed greenery, you could save that. We don't need that. So we're going to throw in these 3 pieces, and what I think we're going to do is we're possibly going to come in here, since we have our pumpkin as another focal piece, I think we're going to be kind of trying to get this around or near our pumpkin, really. So somewhere there, and possibly there. Okay, so we're going to make like a triangle type look. So let's just see where we're going to add these in. Because we have ties here. And we may still be able to use a little bit of. Yes, we do. Perfect. So we're going to add in some glue. just kind of around a little bit of the base to hope that it catches on the tie. And then try and get this around your tie. Or I should say, try and get the tie around the bottom without gluing your fingers. Okay. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to sneak this one in here too. So on this side, we're going to sneak this guy in here. And check if we do have a little bit of the tie that we can work with still. Okay. Just got our finger on a little bit of glue. Sneak that in there. You just want to mingle flowers together a little bit. Okay. And then we'll go back in after the live and just hide the rest of the ties in between the mesh and stuff, so I wouldn't worry about that. Not right now. And then we've got one last one to glue in here, I believe, which is this one here. And we're going to sneak this guy right on in here. Okay. So let's get some glue here. Let's tie this one up. And we're gonna sneak that down under there. And we're gonna reposition our flowers. Okay, I'm just gonna get the glue off my fingers before we get them on our ribbon. Okay. All right, and I think that's gonna do it. So other than us going through and just kind of fluffing up our tails, I just smashed a couple more. I think we are done. And after the live, I'm just basically going to go in and secure the back, which is basically wrapping the remainder of the wire around the frame. But you guys don't need to be bored with that. So other than that, we're done. We're done, we're done. What do you guys think? Stepping on glue blobs that were stuck to my fingers. So I think we showed you really well how to take a kit that you can buy with most of all the wreath supplies. This is going to hang differently once it's actually on a wall, or hanging, you know, vertical. But so I would say 90% of these wreath supplies came in the kit. Okay, so the only things that did not come in the kit, so you don't get the wire for the hanging, right? and you have to punch your own holes, but that's no big deal. I added in this gray ribbon as like a bonus ribbon. And then I also actually added in another ribbon, which was this accent ribbon, which is not necessary, but I added in the accent ribbon, okay? And then I keep finding things to fluff. Then I also added in this bonus pumpkin because I really like the gray tones with all these purples and pinks and teals, okay? So this pumpkin was not expensive. I actually got it on sale at the end of last season. So I added in basically 3 things plus a supply to secure. So I added in the wire, which you're going to need if you buy any sign anywhere. I added in the pumpkin, which is number 1, and these 2 ribbons here. So the gray, well actually I'm sorry, 4. Added in the wire, which is a supply, the pumpkin, the 2 ribbons, which would be 3, so 2 different ribbons. I'm sorry, and then the flowers I decided to add in just because I thought it went nicely with the sign. Okay. Thank you, Angie. So that's it. So this should be available in our shop sometime. It will probably have a kind of not so best picture. Actually, I could take a picture tonight. Might be able to go take a picture tonight. Yeah, it's not too late. And put this up on our Etsy shop. So this will probably be up later tonight. If I say later tonight, it'll be probably within the next hour or so. And then we'll be back on Monday night for Facebook Live at 9 p.m. But check for our posts on Facebook because I am thinking about switching our Monday nights to Tuesday nights. And I'm possibly thinking about changing Friday, our Thursday live to Friday during the day. So we might do Tuesday at 9 and then Friday during the day. But you guys let me know if you think that doesn't sound like it would work for you. But we might be changing to 1 live during the day. All right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I would love for you to do so. Go ahead and click that little subscribe button and that little bell notification icon, and it will tell you, it being YouTube, will tell you when we are on or when we upload new videos. All right, so thank you so much. Have a great night. Here, Kathy from Santa Marta Designs. I'll see you guys on the next live. Thank you.